Welcome to Home Cooking with Holly. Today we're going to make a pot roast with vegetables. This hearty, filling, and flavorful meal will fill your kitchen with a wonderful aroma. Let's get started making this one. We're going to peel our carrots into the garbage bowl. I also peel my potatoes right into the same bowl, just our garbage bowl. Okay, I'm going to remove the skin of my onions. Let's cut off both of the ends. A little slit in the side, and I can peel that layer right off, right into the garbage bowl. Now I am going to dice up my onion. I start by cutting the onion in half, and then I also cut it in half lengthwise. Be very careful of your fingers. Then I make some slices along the side. And I'm just going to line them up. And I'm going to do kind of a rocking motion with my knife to give those a dice. Again, watch those fingers. Be very careful with your fingers. We're going to chop our carrots up. I'm going to cut off the ends. Now you can slice your carrots, dice your carrots, however you like to do it. I like to have some big chunks of carrot. So what I usually do is cut it in half. And then this half, I'm going to just kind of at an angle, cut some chunks. That's what I'm going to do. But you can do it however you'd like. Put those to the side. This one's bigger, so I'm actually, be careful with your hands here, I'm going to cut it down the center, and then I'm going to cut some chunks. Don't worry if your carrots aren't all perfect uniform size. Again, we aren't chefs here. We are home cooks. We are rustic. We are enjoying what we're making. You can also use baby carrots if you want to just make it even simpler. The potatoes, kind of like the carrots, you can do them the way that you like. You can make slices, big chunks, bite-sized chunks, little dice, big dice, whatever you like to do. Usually, I will cut it down the center. Now, if it were big and round, I may do 2 cuts down into thirds. But this one is oblong, so I'm just going to cut them down the center again. And then I'm going to just make little chunks, little bites. And now our vegetables are all chopped, ready to get started. You need to use an oven-safe pot. Make sure you have an oven-safe pot. This is a cast iron pot, so I know it can handle the heat. We want to add about 2 tablespoons of olive oil. I usually just eyeball it. Feel free to measure it out until you get used to how much you want to use. And I'm going to sear my pot roast. So I am going to turn this to a medium-high temperature and let that oil start to heat up. I have a chuck roast here. It's a little over 2 pounds, about 2 1/4. You can do a larger roast, you can do a smaller roast, however much you need. I'm just going to pat both sides dry with a paper towel. It helps the seasoning to stick. Make sure you remove this. You don't need that when you're cooking. And I'm going to get my best friends here, salt and pepper. And I'm going to salt and pepper both sides of that roast. And I'm going to be pretty generous here. So we're going to sear in this seasoning. Don't worry if you make a little mess on your stove. It wipes away easily enough. Now I have one hand that's touched raw meat and one hand that has not. It's a good way to do it. You can also use tongs, of course. You can also wear gloves. Salt this side. I'm using sea salt. You can use kosher salt. You can use table salt, your preference. And now our roast is ready. Our oil is heating up. So as soon as that oil is shimmering and I know it's hot enough, I'm going to put the roast in. We want to hear a sizzle. All right, my olive oil is shimmering. It's starting to smoke a little bit. Perfect. I'm going to pick up my roast. This time I've washed my hands, so I'm going to use some tongs. Ooh, there's that sizzle. Now you'll notice I laid it away from myself, so that way if any of the oil splashed back, it wouldn't come onto me. That's important. You don't want to get burned by hot oil. I'm just going to let this cook for a few minutes on each side to form a delicious crust, which will caramelize the meat and seal in the flavor. It's going to be so delicious. Flipped over the roast. See that nice caramelized crust we've got on there? It pulled off of the pan easily because it was ready to flip. If it starts to stick on you, it's probably not quite done yet. So I'm just going to give it about a minute on this side. I'm at more of a medium heat now. And everything's going to be cooked in this one pot, which makes it really nice for cleanup. I also like to sear the ends a little bit. Be very, very careful that you don't burn yourself. So I'm going to let it stand up a little bit, get a nice color. Okay, seared in. Now I'm going to set that on a plate off to the side, and it is time to give our vegetables a little bit of caramelization as well. I'm just going to add my carrots, potatoes, and onions all at the same time to my pot. Still gonna sizzle. We still have some really hot oil, so be careful you don't splatter yourself. They're all in there. Give it a stir. We're gonna let those get a little caramelized as well. Stirring them frequently, it's just gonna take about 2 minutes. All right, vegetables are sauteing nicely. I've added some more of salt and pepper onto these. Now I'm going to add in some garlic. We like a lot of garlic. I'm using already minced garlic. We don't want to add the garlic at the beginning because it will burn faster. Now I'm going to make a nice layer. Pat my vegetables down a little bit, and I'm going to add my roast right on top. And there goes my roast. Now don't waste the juices, any juices. You want to add those back in too. That's full of flavor. That's what we want. A nice flavorful roast. I've turned off the heat on my burner. My oven is almost preheated to 425 degrees. So I'm going to start building the liquids into this. You want 4 cups of beef broth because I have a lot of vegetables. You could do less if you don't use as many vegetables. You can buy prepared broth. You can use bouillon. I have bouillon cubes. I'm just going to kind of break them up in here. Just make sure your hands are clean. Just breaking them up. Everything will dissolve in the oven, so it's not a big deal if you have some little chunks in there. I'm going to pour that broth in over the roast and the vegetables. And like I said, don't worry about little chunks. They are going to dissolve. I'm just going to knock them into the liquid. Now I'm going to add about 2 tablespoons of Worcestershire, however you like to say it, sauce. I'm going to get that in here. This is going to add some great umami flavor to our pot roast and our vegetables. We already added some garlic. That's going to help us with the flavor as well. Now I want to add some wine. I'm adding in about 3/4 cup of wine. You can use red wine, white wine. I'm using white because that's what I have. Usually with beef, I like to use red, but I didn't have any, and that's okay. And then I have about 3 teaspoons here total of equal parts onion powder and garlic powder. And I'm going to add that on here as well. And that's it. Now you can add other herbs and seasonings if you like. At the end, I will be adding some parsley, but you do it the way you like it. You can use rosemary and thyme, basil and oregano, whatever you like. My oven's preheated. I'm going to take a lid, pop it on here. Now remember, we're at 425 degrees, and we are going to cook this for 30 minutes. Just 30 minutes at the higher temperature. And then we're going to turn our oven down to 300 and let it roast for 4 to 5 hours. Okay, our roast is about halfway through. I'm going to check it. Ooh, yum. Smells so good. Now this is a good time to check your liquid. I do have plenty of liquid left in here. If you didn't, you could add another cup or 2 of broth if you needed to. But this is also where I would add softer vegetables like my zucchini squash or throwing in your mushrooms. I'm just going to give my roast a little flip here. Looks good, smells delicious. It's got about 2 hours left to go. So we're going to put it back into the oven. Now our roast is almost finished. See, if I stick a fork in there and try to pull it, some of the meat will come up. I'm going to give it about half an hour longer. And our pot roast is finished. I've served some on a plate with the vegetables, used some of the juice over the meat and the vegetables just to add some more flavor. And let me know if you tried this pot roast and what you thought of it. Did you add any different seasonings? I'm interested to hear. And what kind of vegetables did you use? I hope that you will like and subscribe. Share this video with someone you know who would like to make pot roast with vegetables. And please follow me for more recipes and cooking tips.